Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Jedi. Today, we're going to look at another serial killer. This is the Milwaukee Cannibal, also known as Jeffrey Dahmer. So, before we get into it, let me give you guys a quick intro. Jeffrey Dahmer was a serial killer. He killed many boys, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So, let's go. Alright, so as a child, he actually had a surgery, a double hernia. So after that surgery, his parents said that really changed him. He kind of went into depression. He didn't really like, most people around him. And like puberty kind of played a part in it too. And like a lot of bad decisions kind of led to him being a serial killer. But a lot of his parents and everybody say that actually started from that double hernia surgery because he felt a lot of pain and he didn't really like that. So coping up with that, he decided to take a different path. Number two was that he would always go around and like get dead animals. And he would be like scavenging for bones and stuff like that. And his dad didn't really care about it too much because in the beginning he was just like, his dad's a scientist, so his dad thought he was just like fascinated. He was just like fascinated in like bones and fossils and stuff. But later it turned out to be a little bit more stranger than that, and it kind of got into an addiction mode for Jeffrey Dahmer. Number three is that going in, Jeffrey Dahmer actually started drinking a lot of alcohol. So a lot of people say that this actually leads to some of the things that he does. And of course, alcohol abuse is really bad. And he started at a really young age when he first entered high school. So we're talking about 9th grade, 10th grade. So alcohol definitely influenced his judgment a lot. So a lot of decisions that he made was actually due to overdose in alcohol. The very first murder he ever committed was after he graduated high school. 3 weeks after, he murdered a boy who was hitchhiking to Akron or to Ohio. And he was driving by, picked him up, took him home, and then he just ended his life. So that's the very first murder. That's when it all started. So you could see that he was like, he was kind of like deranged since he was a young child. So this all started when he was 18. So right out of high school, that's the first time that he started making murders. Number five was that he actually realized that he had a problem. So he realized that, he actually wanted control and power, and he actually liked killing people. So what he did was he actually didn't want to do that. So he joined the army and he served as a combat medic. But then this turned out bad because a lot of people around him started making complaints that he was misbehaving with them. And of course, he was put into like a dorm or like a bunker with like many other 18-year-old boys. So his trigger senses were activating even more. So he tried to have different interactions with them. And this led to him eventually being kicked out, being put back into society, which led to him making more bad decisions. So at one point in time, Dahmer was actually living in his grandparents' house or his grandmother's house. And he would actually store a lot of his victims' bodies and stuff in that area. So like in his room in his grandmother's house. And his grandmother actually started finding out about this, and she actually helped prevent a murder with a guy, because she actually kicked the guy out because he's like, no, get out of here. We don't want to be friends with this guy. So she actually kind of knew that this was all happening, but it was her own grandson, so she didn't really take that many steps to stop it. Number seven is that Dahmer actually enjoyed exorcism films. So all the Exorcist movies and Star Wars, he actually enjoyed a lot of these horror movies, and he enjoyed the Star Wars series. And he would actually watch these movies before he would go out and kill and execute people. So people say that this definitely aggravated that sense in him, because he really liked that thrill of horror. And he didn't really like the thrill that people got from being scared of the ghost, but he explained his thrill as watching the victims get scared by the ghost. So then he wanted to go out and kind of reenact that and be the ghost. And a lot of people say that after he died, he actually watched the movies after his victims were killed, he actually watched the movies with them in his home. So he definitely had a lot of fantasies, and watching horror movies with his dead victims was definitely one of the weird ones. So right before he was killed, he was actually in the process of building an altar with all the skulls that he actually captured from the people that he murdered. So he was actually right about to finish it, but then he got captured and he got put into custody. But before that, he actually collected several amount of skulls, and he was actually able to fill his entire room. And he was able to line up all the bones and the skulls, and he had and then he actually did a lot of different things to it, and he actually made it look really nice. But of course, they were all human bones. The irony in all of this is that number 9, when he was in prison, he actually became a born again Baptist Christian. So when he went inside. When he was in prison, he got influenced by a lot of different people in there, and they actually helped spread the word of God to him, and this helped him become a Christian. So, and then we saw this with Ted Bundy too. a lot of serial killers actually start following a religion once they go into prison, because that really helps them come out of the whole like killing motive. And once you're in jail, you can't really kill anybody, so they got to find a different thing to like go on to or latch onto so they can get out of this. And for Dahmer, it was Christianity. The last fact is that Lionel Dahmer, this is probably one of the craziest facts, because Lionel Dahmer was actually Jeffrey Dahmer's dad, and Lionel Dahmer didn't really, like, he wrote many books, and he wrote 2 main books, and they were both about Jeffrey Dahmer and his killings. So then one of the books actually was made into a really hit movie, which you're probably seeing a lot of pictures right now with all the guys, or with the movie characters. So that movie was My Friend Dahmer. That was derived from his dad's book, where his dad completely details out what he did and how like his life was affected. So that movie really covers it, and you guys should definitely go watch it, because they don't have any killings in that. They stop it right before his first murder, so they kind of give you like the preview of his childhood and stuff. And then the second book that he wrote was actually directly blaming somebody. And instead of blaming his son, he actually blamed himself. And he said that he lost as a father, and he didn't really notice these signs, and he messed up, and it was his fault. So his dad pretty much blamed himself for everything that happened to his son. Right now, to this day, Jeffrey Dahmer, he was actually executed. But before that, like, they would actually talk and everything. And like his dad and him had a really good like bond. And Jeffrey Dahmer says that him being bullied in high school and him being left out caused him to do all these things. The police believe that to some extent. So that's pretty much the story of Jeffrey Dahmer. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram. This is very important, okay? At Jedi.Solomon. Go now. Do it. I'm watching. I'll give you guys 3 seconds. Did you do it? Good. Alright. After that, subscribe. Make sure you guys
like the video, share the video, and subscribe.
Yeah, do that. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.